All right, so in today's video, we're going to put together our delightful Damask evening bag or purse or gift box, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to begin by, getting rid of and taking care of some of the simpler paper piecing elements, just so that we have less pieces to kind of confuse us, I guess, even though it's a very straightforward little piece. So the first thing we're going to do is just some paper piecing stuff. So what you want to do, find the piece that looks like this. There's no tabs on top, no tabs on the bottom, and it is the only piece that is like that. And then you're going to want to find this piece here. Now there are two pieces that look like this, but you'll notice that the piece that we're interested in here actually has a series of little markers, and that is for, I'll show you in a minute. But you want the one with the markers. The one without the markers goes onto another piece. And this we're going to be gluing right onto, in my case, this peach color, and we're going to try to center that as nicely as we can to create a nice even border going all the way around. So begin with that, a very simple little task to get our feet wet and just to kind of get the glue flowing and get you comfortable. Okay, so again, when you place this, do your best to get it nice and centered all the way around, just like that, and press that into place. That's pretty good. Probably could have nudged it a tiny bit to the left, but I don't think anyone's going to notice really. Okay, and while we have that, you're going to want to find these two little pieces, which you can see here I've actually embossed with our tiny dot embossing folder. And you're going to locate the little identifier there, and this is going to fit right into that little identifier, and then the other one is going to fit into the little the little valley there. Okay, so that is how you know you have it in the right spot. Go very easy on the glue with this one. Don't need a lot. And again, I'm going to start by lining it up with the little point there. I'm kind of just using my finger to hold it in place, and then just dropping it right underneath that little V-shaped marker. Okay, there's that. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Since this is a little bit of a symmetrical little flourish. Okay, so where is my little marker? There it is. And where's my other one? There it is. Sometimes it's a little tough to see with the patterns there, but we got it figured out. Okay, so that piece is ready to go. And I'm gonna actually put this underneath my mat, let that dry nice and flat. And now we're gonna find this piece here. Okay, this is the only piece that looks like this. It's got three sections. This is actually the top of our little handbag. This is where the handles are gonna go. This is the front flap. This is the back. And we'll just lay this out like so. And the other remaining piece is gonna get glued right there. This is the one that does not have any little identifiers on it, since we're not putting the little flourishes on the back. We don't need the identifiers. So get your glue on this piece. Make sure you work a little bit out to the absolute perimeter. Okay, and again, do your best to make sure that you get that nice and centered so that that little border is nice and even all the way throughout. And press that into place. And then I'm going to grab this piece, and you can see here there's a coordinating, not as far as colors, but as far as shape, little, in our case, gold foil piece. We're going to glue this to the gold foil, and then we're going to glue the entire structure to the little flap on the front. Okay, now with this one, I'm going to probably have to be a little patient because I'm gluing a very slippery, so to speak, cardstock onto metallic, well, I guess it's not metallic, but it's almost plastic, but it's kind of not very porous, I guess is what I'm trying to say, surface. Okay, so just pop that right on there. Get it nice and lined up, nice and centered. Press that into place. There we go. Actually, it's more porous than I thought it was, which is nice. That will help with set time. Okay, and then once this has a full hold, I don't want to jump the gun here. That seems good. We'll put glue on the entire back part of this section now that is together. And we're going to put that right onto the little flap on our, I think it's either shrimp or blush. I think this is a shrimp color. Let me see here. It's actually AC Peach. So it's the peach. Okay, and again, this is going to go nice even border all the way around here, nice and centered on the little flap. It will ultimately become the front top of our little handbag. Okay. All right, so that's out of the way. Let's see here. Yep, nice and sturdy. Let me grab my other piece here. So we've got that done. You can see what that's going to look like when it's all said and done. Okay, so we can put both those sections off to the side, and we may as well, we'll just put together our little tag here. Okay, so I've got this dark gray piece that I'm going to glue onto my gold foil. Let's just throw a little bit of glue on here. I'm probably doing way too much, more than I need. And obviously you want to get it centered and line up the little cutouts there. We're going to add some string so that we can kind of just dangle this off of one of the handles on our bag. Or actually there's only one handle in this case. And then we've got this white piece that's going to go on top of the gray piece. So throw a little bit of glue on there. And again, line it up with the little circle cut out there, so we're not obstructing our little area for the string to go through. Make sure you get it nice and centered. Should have kind of a natural little shadow behind the white. That's perfect. And there's our tag. Obviously, you can take a look at the final photo to see that we just put some gold string through it and tied it around the handle. Okay, so now one other thing too that I want to talk about are these four rectangles. Okay, now you'll notice if you kind of just put them next to each other like that, one is way shorter. Okay, this one here, this is going to be the little liner that goes on the inside to cover up the handle. Okay, this you want to just put along with this piece here that has the little slits cut out there and the handle. Just keep these all together, the smallest little rectangle. And then also, now the difference between these two is that in the bottom corner of one of them is a little L that's cut out. This is the liner. This is actually going inside the box to hide our tabs. Put that off to the side somewhere. So that just leaves you with one rectangle. Now this is the rectangle that is the main part of the structure, and we're going to need that here in just a moment. The other two gray rectangles here, these are panels that are going to go on the side of this piece here, but we're not going to do that until the actual structures together. So this we can also put on the side, which just leaves these two side pieces and the front and the back and the liner. I'm sorry, this is the bottom. So we've got a total of 5 pieces left that we need to focus on now. So that's what we're going to do now, is put together our structure. And you will notice that on the bottom of each of these sections, this is one of the sides, and there's a little L on this. That is the left. On this one, there's a little R. That is the right. Okay, and then now on these two, you'll notice that one says B and one says F. This is the back, and this is the front. Okay, and really the only difference is this little lip here on the one with the F on it. We're going to take this piece and connect the 3 lips to make them all one seamless one. Honestly, I'm not sure that it even matters. Whether because we could technically flip-flop this thing. Anyway, so you kind of just want to make sure that you keep the one that says F in front, B in back, and we're ready to begin assembling this. So what you want to do, and again, one other little note here, this is the top, this is the bottom. The bottom has the larger tabs, the top has the smaller tab. This is where the lip goes. And that is also the case with these side pieces. This is the bottom, this is the top. Okay, this is where the lip goes, this is the tab for the actual bottom. All right, so this is gonna be very simple. What we're gonna do, and I'm not overly worried about training this right now. It will kind of fall into place while we're actually going through and doing the construction. But what I do want to do is start off by putting just glue on one tab, and I'm putting it on the inside because we're actually going to glue the tabs to the outside of this piece. Okay, it's going to act as kind of a little skeleton piece to help us create and shape our actual structure. And you want to make sure that the top of this is lined up with the top of this. Okay, and we're just doing this one tab just to anchor it in place so it doesn't move anywhere. Okay, that should have a good hold by now. And then once we get that first one glued down, this is going to be a lot easier. And I'm going to go ahead and just put glue on maybe just like the next two tabs and just do little dots. I'll go 3. Okay, and now what I can do is I'm going to tuck these over so that they're basically, if I wanted to, I'd push them down and they would hit this surface. But I'm going to flip this down on my surface and I'm going to push from the outside to kind of shape it, and then I'm going to push down from the inside. Let me rotate this a little bit so you can see it better. So what I did is I pushed it in this way towards the contour of the shape, and now I'm pushing down to help those tabs make contact with this piece. And I'll show you what I mean here. When we flip it over, now you can see these next 3 tabs are making contact with the surface of this piece here. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and I'm just going to do a dot, dot, dot on the next 3. We'll fold them over because eventually they're going to make contact with the surface of this. Okay, but I'm going to tuck those under, and I'm going to let the table do the work while I'm going to push the side of this as far as I can until, you know, this is nice and flush with the shape of this other piece. Okay, so I'm going to do this one other way so that in case you're still confused, it will make more sense. But this is a lot easier. This is a quicker method to get this done and to get it done more accurately. I'm just going to do one tab now just to demonstrate what we're really accomplishing here. So I'm going to put glue on this tab, and I'm just going to take and push it up against this piece and glue it down. And I'm going to hold it there for a second. Now, see, rather than me holding this in midair and pushing this down, the table's doing this, except it's just upside down. Okay, and that's why I can do more than one tab at a time, because everything is already flat. So let me illustrate that again. I'm going to do 3 tabs here because I've got the table helping me. So dot, dot, dot. I'm going to fold it over as if I was going to press it down onto the surface, but now I'm just going to pop those tabs so that they're flat on the table, and then I'm just pushing this side piece just so that it curves around like that. There we go. I think that makes sense. And then you can push down from the inside to get those tabs to connect nicely. There we go. Okay, there you go. So those tabs are in place now. And we've got 2 tabs left. So we'll peel those back a little bit, throw a couple dots of glue on these tabs, and fold them over. They're going to go right there, except again, I'm tucking them underneath this piece so they're flat on the table, and then I'm pushing with my hand here so that it hugs the shape, and I am going to press down right there to help them really make good contact. There we go. Okay, so you can see the end result here. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, so again, this is our front. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing except on the other side now. So just like we did, this is our top. Remember the short tabs on top, large tab on the bottom. I'm going to start with the largest top tab here, just the one, and we're going to anchor this first, just to make sure that that top one has a good grip. Okay, now in this case, I'm not actually using the table. I'm just doing this so that I can actually see where it's lined up, and I'm going to just hold that right in place, make sure it's got good alignment. Here we go. Make sure it's nice and flush, and just press and hold that down. Just get that anchored, and then the rest of it will be a walk in the park. Give that a second to set. Okay, I think the best way to do this is probably just flaring the tabs out this way. Okay, I'm going to get some glue on tab number 2 here, and tab number 3, and let's go number 4 as well. Just going to dab that a little bit, spread the glue out. Okay, and again, these are going to be folded over, except I'm going to tuck them underneath, and I'm going to use my fingers to push from the outside so that it hugs the curve there, and then I can push with my finger from the inside to help this section adhere to the other section via the tabs there. And that's it. And you can see now I've got the 3 tabs connected. Well, there's 4 now. Okay, so just gonna flare out the next 3 tabs here, and dot, 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 1 dot, 2 dot, 3 dot. I'm gonna dab those a little bit. And again, just pushing them in so that they kind of just tuck underneath, and then just kind of shaping this up against this large piece here, just making sure that it's following the natural curve there, and then just using my finger to press down to help that glue seep into the little fibers of the paper. There we go. And that really just makes this a speedy process. Okay, so we'll get the next, and actually because we're doing it this way, and because I'm feeling confident, I think I could probably finish this up by doing the remaining 6 tabs here. So let's try it. There's no reason why not. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you got a little too much glue on there, that's fine. You know what? And even if the glue spills out like majorly, not a big deal, because we're ultimately going to be hiding this with those other sections that we already prepared. Okay, so let's fold these over so they're easier to tuck underneath in between the table and this piece. And again, just kind of making sure that it's hugging that natural shape there, pushing from the outside while pushing down from the inside. And this bottom section here, you really want to kind of hold it for a little bit longer so it doesn't pull away. I think that's where we have the most resistance right now, so be sure to give that some extra attention. Okay. And there we have it. Okay. So it's about 3/4 of the way done. Now all that's left is to connect this side, just like we did the first side. And of course, you want to make sure that the tab is at the bottom along with the other tabs, okay? We're on the home stretch here, guys. We're almost done. Okay, so I'm going to grab this piece, the one with the letter B on it, and we're going to begin by anchoring it to this large tab here. So let's get our glue on this tab, and I'm putting it on the inside because it's going onto the face of this piece here. And I'm not going to use my table for this first one because I want to make sure that I get the alignment just right. So find a nice comfortable position with what I would consider your dominant tab finger, which in my case is my right hand thumb and pointer, and just get that nice and aligned. Make sure you're pressing this up against this surface and press and hold that down until it sets. Okay, just be patient with this one. No sense in rushing. This is our little anchor. We want to make sure that he is nice and strong so that the rest of it goes very easy for us. Okay, and I'm pretty sure it's good now. We'll see. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, so just like we did the last time now, we can kind of flip this down, and I'm going to apply glue to tab number 2, 3, and 4. We'll keep it simple here, just the next 3 tabs. Fold them over towards this surface, and then we can tuck those underneath, and you're not going to be able to see this very well because this piece is hiding it, but I'm doing the same thing. I'm pushing from the outside to make sure that this whole section, the side piece, is making good contact with the natural curve of that face piece, and then I'm pushing down with my fingers from the inside. Okay, and that should about do it. You can see these tabs are now glued into place. Again, if you want, you can always just do one tab here and glue it like this, but I am using my table to my advantage, and that also creates less warping, less bending of the paper and such. So you could do it that way technically, but we're going to be efficient here and get this done more quickly and more accurately by using our surface as a tool. Okay, so I'm going to do the next 5 tabs because so far I haven't really had any problems here. I'm going to fold them over. Okay, and I'm going to tuck them underneath, just tucking them underneath the piece here. And then I'm going to push from the outside so that those tabs and this surface hugs the natural shape while I'm pressing down with my finger here. I'm just rubbing my finger on those tabs to help them make good contact there. Okay, and that looks pretty good from the inside. Let's take a look on the outside, and there we go. Okay, and that just leaves 3 tabs here. So we'll do a dot, 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 and fold those over, tuck them under, and I think we can maybe do it from this side here so I can better show you. There's those 3 tabs, tucking them underneath, but using my surface as a tool, pushing from the outside, and then pushing down from the inside. Okay, I wish I could make this piece transparent so you could see, but it's no different than the other side that we already assembled, so I don't think there's going to be much confusion there. And that last little tab there at the bottom, give that a few extra seconds so that it really grips and doesn't pull away, so that we have this nice end result here. Okay, and that just leaves one more side here, obviously. And just like we did the last 3 times, we're going to start off with this large tab, throwing a little bit of glue on that, and anchoring this into position right up at the top, making sure that this is lined up with this when we go to place that. And we'll fold that over, make sure it's nice and aligned. Oops, there we go. And just hold that in place while it sets. Make sure it's nice and flush up against this face piece here, that tab. Okay, and let's be patient here while that sets. And this, I think, is going to go even faster because you can see how it's already kind of taking the shape. There's nothing else jumbling around, bouncing around. So this should go pretty quick. And I may just do 5 or 6 tabs at a time instead of just 2 or 3. Okay, I think that's got a good hold now. So you can put it like this. Let's flare these tabs open. And I'm going to try a bunch of tabs here. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do 6. Fold them over. And again, We're tucking them under and pushing in from the outside while I'm using my finger to push down and add pressure onto those tabs. Okay, just make sure it's really hugging that corner or hugging that curve. There we go. And there we go. Okay, so it just leaves these final tabs here. I'm not going to do all of them because this last one needs a little extra love. So I'm going to do maybe just 4, and then we'll leave the last 2 for the last push here. Okay, so again, fold those over so that they're almost hitting that surface. Tuck them under, push from the outside, and then push down from the inside right onto those tabs. And I could probably go over to my other camera and show you kind of what's going on here. If you can't, well, either one. It's going to be hard to see, but okay. So there we have it, and that just leaves these final 2 tabs. So let's get our glue on these 2 tabs, fold them over. We're going to tuck them under. And that last little section, again, make sure you make good contact there and that you're really pushing it in there. Don't push it too hard to where you're going to bend it, but push it enough to where it's really hugging that end point there, and keep pressing down until everything sets nicely. There we go. Okay. And there is our beautiful structure. Very simple, maybe a little tedious, but not overly horrible. Okay, great. So we can put our bottom on. And again, this is our front. This is the one with the F. We're going to start off by gluing this rectangle to the F. Okay. All right, I just came up with a pun, but I'm not going to say it because it's inappropriate. It has to do with this tab and moving it out of the way, and the letter on the tab. I'll leave it to you guys to guess what it might be. You can leave a comment if you figure it out. Okay, so I put a little line of glue there on the very end of the tab, just so that when I place this on here, I can make really good contact all the way out to the very edge. Okay, so get that glued into place. Make sure you get this centered. Mine is not. I'm gonna shove it over a little bit. That's not bad. And then you can put this down on your surface and press down from the inside to really get the entire tab to hold. There we go. Okay, that looks good. I think it's making pretty good contact throughout, and if not, we can always go back and do a little cleanup and fix it. And we're going to close up the bottom now. So get your tabs all situated here, and let's add our glue. And then I'm going to do one little line right out to the edge so that the seam is nice and clean. So we'll just do a little line right out to the edge. My flow is very sporadic right now on my glue bottle, so I got to be careful here. Okay, you can tuck this in a little bit so that as you're spreading this glue out, you don't accidentally get some onto the other surface, this one here. So that's a little trick there. And I got a feeling I might need to do a little bit of cleanup on this one, meaning maybe not all of it's gonna really hold very well, but that's okay. All right, so let's flare these tabs up a little bit so that as we're pushing this down, it grabs more of that surface area. And I want you to simply focus on getting it aligned with the side opposite of the side that it's already connected to, and make sure that that section there lines up nicely first, and then the rest of it should just kind of fall into place. You may need to kind of give it a little bit of a nudge to get it nice and aligned, but for the most part, it should just kind of fall into place like so, and that looks pretty good. Then we can flip it around, push down from the inside so that we can help the rest of the tabs make good contact with our bottom. And there we have it. Let's take a look at our work. And I do have, well, I've got an area here that maybe isn't great. So I'll just take a scrap piece of paper, throw a little bit of glue on it, and just tuck it right into this little corner. Paint some extra glue on this section that is not making good contact, and just hold that with my thumb. Just that little section there, give it a little extra TLC, and voila. Okay, so that looks good. Now again, this is our front, this is our side, this is our back. Now at this point, what we can do is find this little piece that has the little L cut into it, and just throw a little bit of glue right onto the tabs on the inside, and just a little bit in the center. We're going to pop this inside to cover up those tabs, and that is also going to help us kind of make this a little more structurally sound as well. Just run your finger along the perimeter there, and a little bit towards the center. There we go. Okay, and now we can glue our lip on. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the front and get that anchored first. So go ahead and throw some glue onto this tab, maybe a thin line right out to the bottom. Spread that glue out nice and even all the way out to the very edge. Okay, nice and thin. And just focus on getting this nice and centered onto that tab, like so. And then you can kind of pinch it like this, almost like you're making the edge of a pie crust. Okay, so that looks nice. Nice and aligned. That side looks great. So does that side. So now, do the same thing on these two sides. Just throw a little bit of glue on this tab, a nice little thin line out to the edge. Same thing on the other side. Just like that. And I'm going to spread that glue out to the very, very edge. I got way too much on this side. It's okay. And just close it up. Lay it down so that it lines up nicely with the very edge here. Give that a quick little press. That ought to do it. And the same thing on this side here. Just line it up nicely with the edge there. There we go. And that just creates a nice little finish to the top there. And maybe go back a couple times and just make sure that everything's making good contact there. So you can see what that's starting to look like. Okay, so let me take a look here in the front. Hopefully that, yeah, that looks good. Okay, all right, great. So all that leaves now is to put our front, back, and sides on, and our handle. And this is the easy part here. So remember, this little lip here, there's one side without a lip, one side with a lip. This is our front, okay? And the front is gonna take this piece. So we're literally just gonna glue this piece right onto the front to match the shape of our box, okay? And I'm actually gonna put glue on this thing, and I'm gonna go a little heavy because I'm gonna end up spreading this glue out to the very edges of this piece, just to make sure that every little section of this is making good contact. And I'll just do a little bit in the center. Just quickly, every inch of this doesn't need to be caked with glue. Just as long as you get the majority of it set, I think we'll be fine. We can always go back in and do some touch-ups if necessary. Just make sure you get it nice and centered, nice and aligned, and then just kind of run your finger along the perimeter. Make sure all these sections are making good contact with our main structure, and just kind of repeat that a couple times. Just go around and keep pressing down. And again, if you do have any little areas that aren't making the best contact, maybe because we didn't get enough glue or whatnot, I'll show you a little tip here on how to fix that. to make it nice and seamless and perfect. So there's nothing we can't fix. Okay, and you know what? That looks pretty darn good so far. Maybe one little area here. That side looks good. The bottom, there's one section there that needs a little love, but maybe not, because that glue is not fully set. So if you do have a little area that is still rising up a bit, there's still time to add a little pressure and get it into place before that glue completely sets. And you know what? I did pretty good here, minus this little section here. So if you have any sections that aren't sitting nice and flush, just grab your scrap piece of paper, throw a little bit of glue on there, and then literally just slide it in between the two sections that need a little coaxing to sit nice and flat. Paint that glue on there and just press and hold that area for a few seconds and let it set. Now I've noticed here on this little lip that I've got a little area here that's raising up. I'm going to fix that because I can, and it'll make it look nicer. I've got a tiny little strip here, and this little scrap piece of paper, you can make it as big or as small as you need to fit the section that you need to fix. So that was a tiny little piece that I had laying around that was perfect for that little gap. Okay, and there we go. Now it's nice and flush. Okay, so our front is all set. Let's put our back on. The flap on the front and the top, they're going to be loose, so we don't need to worry about doing anything with that at all. Okay, so that's going to sit like that. That is going over the front, so you can see how nice that looks. So all we need to do is glue this back piece here. And you know, we can do this one of two ways. We can put glue on this, or we can put glue on the actual structure. I don't really think it matters. Might as well we'll just do it on here, not a big deal. So I'm going to go a little bit heavier since we've got almost an embossing effect here with the tabs on there. And I'm going to really spread this out with my fingers, get it out to the very edges, and we definitely want to get out to the very edge there. Throw a little extra glue there, and just spread that glue out to the edges here, just like so. All the way up to the top as well. Okay, and just pop this into place. Make sure it's nice and flush with the bottom, nice and centered, like so. And again, just like we did before, make sure that the lid goes on nicely, and it does. And we're literally just going to run our fingers along the perimeter here just to make sure everything's making good contact. And if it isn't, you can always go back in and fix it. Not a big deal. But do your best. That's all we can do. We can do our best. Okay, just going to be patient here for a moment and make sure that I don't jump the gun and move on. And that actually kind of worked out better almost. Looks like everything's really making good contact there, so that's good. Okay, I'm going to just hold this for a few extra seconds before I jinx myself here. Okay. All right, I'm feeling pretty confident here, and that looks perfect. Okay, so let's put our handle together, and we're gonna have to kind of do this. Well, I'll show you how. So here's handle one. We're gonna fold this at the little score marks here. Now you'll notice that when I emboss this, I didn't emboss these two little tabs. There's no sense in doing that. We want them to be as flat as possible. So we're going to glue these back to back, okay, so that we have gold on both sides and the white center is in the center, like an Oreo. Okay, so I've got glue on the inside here. I'm going to lay this one on top like so. Just match them up. Go all the way around, make sure everything's making good contact. And the tabs here, we're not putting glue on these just yet. We will in a moment, because we're going to use those to glue and kind of anchor this to our bag. But for now, we don't want to put any glue on those tabs. Okay, and what I might do, I can always do this later, I might hit the outside of this with a little bit of gold ink, because this is a white core paper and it doesn't look the best. Oh, I don't know why I just did that. That didn't make any sense at all. You can just put this panel on without having to slide that through. That was kind of a duh moment. Okay, so anyway, this panel, you don't need to do anything with the handle. Just put the panel on, make sure it lines up with the little slits there. I think it's just been a long day. My bad. Well, that was kind of pointless. And now I also noticed here that I didn't get enough glue on this little section here. So I'm going to throw a little bit of glue on my scrap piece and paint that glue on the inside here. And lay this flat and just press down right there where these two sections are supposed to technically meet and kind of be touching. There's a nice gap there. I don't know how I'd manage that, but that's okay. Not a big deal. There we go. Okay, beautiful. So far, so good. Now we can take our handle. I don't know why I did that. Again, my apologies. I will make sure to leave that mistake in there. And we're going to put glue on the gold side of our little handle and press that down and glue that to the inside. And that's why we have that last little piece, so we can cover this up so no one sees how we glued the handle down. Okay, let me get glue on this side. And then just kind of spread them apart and push. Handles in place. There we go. Beautiful. Let's take a look. There we go. Okay, and this last little, the smallest little rectangle that we talked about earlier in the construction, this is the one that's going to cover this up to hide the handles. So let's get our glue around the perimeter here. And I'm just going to cover this up. Just make sure you get it nice and centered. There's going to be like a tiny, tiny little border around this, but just make sure that you're not encroaching over the little score mark up here so that we're not preventing this flap from folding over. Otherwise, it's pretty much fair game where you position it, as long as you're covering up the handles and as long as it's remotely centered. That's all we're looking for. Okay, so they're pretty much almost done with our handbag, minus the two little panels that we're going to put on the side. Now, I do want to show you the little Velcro dot thing that we're going to use to actually hold this closed. Okay, so we've got these little Velcro dots, and I'm going to peel the backing off of just one side. Okay, I'm going to pop it right here, just pretty much right in the center there. And then I'm going to peel the other backing off, and then we'll close it. Make sure it's nice and tight when you close it. And make sure it's nice and centered as well. And just press down right where that little Velcro dot was. Give that a second to get its feet, and voila. Okay, so now it opens and closes and stays nice and closed for us using that little Velcro dot. You're welcome to use magnets as well. Okay, but there's our little handbag, and all that leaves is, well, obviously we've got our little tag. You're going to put some gold string on that, tie it around one of the handles, and then all we have to do left, or all we have left to do, is these little panels here, and we're going to glue these right onto the side, like so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by just doing one section of this. I think it's probably going to be easier if we just do the top first, get some glue out to the very edge so that we don't have any of that peeling back. And there's going to be an even border around this as well. So I'm going to just do my best to position that right about there. Make sure it's centered left and right. And we're going to hold that in place and just let that set. Give that a moment. And then I'm probably just going to put glue on the very bottom, maybe a little bit along the rest of it. But I don't think we need to put glue on this entire piece. That'll save some resources and some time as well. Okay, so I can flare this back now, and I'm going to put glue all the way down to the very bottom, like so, and then maybe just a little bit going up, not too much. And we're just going to kind of take it and pop it right on there. Just kind of running your finger along the surface as you work your way down, so that make sure that it is actually touching and making contact with this throughout, all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so that is what your panel should look like on the side. And then all that's left to do is just repeat that process one more time on the other side. And pretty much golden here. We're going to jazz this up with some rhinestones and some pearls, or maybe just rhinestones, just to bling it up a little bit more. No purse would be complete without some nice bling. And you know what, that's pretty much it for this one. So let's do that one more time on this side now. Okay, so grab your panel, and let's just start with the top here. Get your glue up there, and let's spread that glue up to the very, very edge so that it doesn't peel back. Do your best to center it and leave a little bit of a border there on top as well. And just press and hold that in place until it sets for a moment. And then we'll do the same thing we did here by applying glue to the bottom just to finish that off. Okay, and just like we did the first time here, we get our glue on the bottom section of this panel. Make sure you get it out to the edge, and then we'll just do a little bit on its way up there towards the center. And at the bottom here, make sure you spread that glue out to the very, very edge. And I want to make sure that it's really hugging this surface, so just kind of rub it like that. Don't rub it. I don't even know what word I'm looking for. Just kind of throw it on there. Ease it on, nice and smooth, so you're kind of almost, I don't even know how to explain it. This motion, just to make sure that it is in fact hugging this entire surface on its way down to the very bottom. Don't rub it. That's silly. I don't know why you'd want to rub it. Okay. All right, there you go. And she is complete. All right, so anyway, like I said, jazz this up with some rhinestones here. I'll show you where you could put one here, one right there, one right here for sure, there, and maybe some on the handle. Just take a look at the final photo to see where ours ended up. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed making this one. If you did, please take a moment and head over to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, and while you're there, hit that little bell so that you get notified anytime we release a new paid product, free product, or any of our helpful educational videos as well. And if you make this or anything from our new bundle, we'd love to see it. So head over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Group, or you can use the little link that you see here below me, and you can join myself and the approaching 19,000 dreamers that inspire us daily. Oh, and by the way, as you can see behind me, we just hit 27,000 on YouTube, so thank you to everyone that currently subscribes. But anyway, I had a good time with this. And I'm sure that there's going to be some ladies in my life that are really going to be excited to receive these for various occasions. So needless to say, I had a good time. I enjoyed crafting with you, and I look forward to doing it again.